Hello! Today we're going to do Unit 2 review. Let's look at number 1. So number 1 says, which decimal is equivalent to? And so we have, to start off with our problem, we have 6 times 100, so we know we're going to have a 6. Our next is plus 7 times 10. That's going to give us the 7. And then we have 4 times 1/10, so we know we can go ahead and put a 0 here, and we're going to put a 4 in our 1/10 position. And then it says plus 8 times 1/1000. So we can go ahead and put a 0 in our 100 place, and so we know we're going to have an 8. And so number 1 is going to be C. Okay, so let's go straight into number 2. So number 2 says, which of these equivalents to 305.023, and it says select all that apply. So let's go ahead and look at number 1. And so it says 3 times 100 is there, plus 5 there, times 1, plus 2 times 100, and 3 times 1,000. Okay, so we know A is going to be 1. Let's look at B. B is 3 times 100, 5 times 1, and then we have 2 times 10, and we know that is not it because 2 is in the 100s place, so not B. Let's look at C. So C says we have 3 times 100, plus 5 times 10, and we know that the 5 is not in the tens place, so we know it is not C. So let's look at D. So we have 300, that's correct, 5, and 23,000, and that is correct. Okay, so let's look at E, because it's saying all that applies. It didn't say 2. And so we have 305, and then it says 2,300. So we know that's not correct because we know it's in the thousandth place. Let's look at D. So we have 350. Nope, not correct. So our only answers for 2 is A and D. Let's go to number 3. Number 3 says, which decimal is equivalent to 40 and 70,000? So we know if with this written out, so it's going to be, we just go ahead and look at A is 40.076 thousand, because the 40 is in the thousand and the 6,000. So there we go. So number 3 is A. Let's look at number 4. So number 4 says, which of these statements are true? And it says select all that apply. So we know there's going to be more than one answer. Okay, so let's look at A. So A reads 0.715 is greater than 0.72. And we know that is not correct. We can look at the tens place and the 100s place, and that is not correct. Let's look at B. So B reads 3.56 is greater than 3.45. And when we look at that, we know that that is true. We can compare, and with that 6 added, we know that is correct. Let's look at C. So C reads 9.903 equals 9.93. We know that's not correct because everything matches up in the tens, but when we get to the hundreds place, that is not the same. So let's look at D. So D reads, we have 0.16 is greater than 0.61. And that is correct because we have our 6 in the tens, 1 in the 100, then the 2 in the 1,000 makes it greater. Let's look at E. So E reads 1.84 is less than 1.83, and that is not correct because it's actually more than. When you look at your whole numbers are the same, your tenths, but your ones in the ones place is more. Should have been greater than. And F reads 5.001 is less than 5.010, and that is correct. G reads 0.79 is less than 0.789, and it's actually greater than because in the tenths place. So we'll mark that out. So let's look at number 5. So number 5 reads, which decimal rounds to 8.47 to the nearest hundredth? So we know if we are rounding to the hundreds, we're going to look at the 6 for a digit in the thousandths place that is greater than 5 or equal. And so we know, so with that being said, then we're going to look, and the answer is going to be B. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to number 6. Number 6 reads, in 2016, 1 US dollar equaled 35.64 Tibet. That is the amount of Tibet rounded to the nearest tenth. So let's look at 6. Let's see which one's going to be rounded to the nearest tenth. We're going to look at the number, we're going to look at the tens place, and we're going to look at the hundreds place, and then we're going to see which one is greater than 5, and that is going to be D. And then number 7 says, which statement is true? So let's look at A, 0.47 is greater than 0.38. And so we can just go ahead. Alright, so let's go to number 8. Alright, so number 8 reads, the table shows the items that Jay bought at Enzo's Pizza and Pasta. Jay bought one of each item. How much did Jay spend without tax or tip? So let's make sure when you're writing these down, you line them up pretty straight so that way you know exactly what you're lining. Okay, so let's start off. We'll say 9 plus 9 is 18, plus 5 more is going to be 23. And then we'll go ahead and say 9 plus 2 is 11, plus 4 more is 15, plus 5 is 23, plus 2 more is 25. We'll go ahead and say 2 plus 8 is 10, plus 1 more is 11, plus 3 more is 14, plus 1 more is 15. 1 plus 1 is 2. So our answer is going to be $25.53, which is good. Okay, so let's look at number 9. So Miguel is deciding between 2 routes for a trip. The quicker route is 173.43 miles long. How slower route is 98.5 miles long? How many miles shorter is the slower route? So we know, just looking at problem 9, we are going to subtract. So let's subtract these problems. Okay, 3 minus 0 is 3. We cannot subtract 4 minus 5, so we're going to borrow from this 7. We're going to make the 7 a 6, and we're going to make the 4 a 14. We borrowed 10. So we'll say 14 minus 5 is going to equal 9. So we know that 6 will not subtract from 8, but it will subtract from 16 minus 8. So we make this 16, make this a 1. 16 minus 8 is going to be 8. We're going to put our decimal. 1 will not, but 11 will. 11 minus 9 is going to equal 2. So it's 28.93 miles is the slow route. Difference. Shorter. Okay, so let's look at number 10. So number 10 reads, a rectangle is 66.94 meters wide. Its length is 29.21 meters more than its width. What is the length of the rectangle? Okay, 4 plus 1 is 5. 9 plus 2 is 11. 6 plus 1 is 7. Plus 9 is going to give us 16. So 6 plus 1 is 7. 8 and 9. So we have 96.15. So number 10 is C. Let's look at number 11. So 11 just simply says to subtract. It has our number nice and lined up for us. So let's just go ahead and subtract it. And we'll just go ahead and add a 0 here. We know that 0 will not subtract from 6. So we'll go ahead and borrow. Not a very good 0, is it? So 10 minus 6 is going to give us 4. We know that 3 will not subtract from 5. So let's borrow from the 8. And that's going to give us, so 13 minus 5 is going to give us 8. Put our point there. So 7 will evenly subtract from 7, and that'll be a 0 there. 6 will not subtract from 8. So we'll have to borrow from the 3, making that a 2, and then giving that a 16. So 16 minus 8 is going to be 8. We'll just go ahead and bring our 2 down. So our answer is 280.84, which is C. Let's go ahead to number 12. Number 12 says, which factors have a product of 0.12? And it says select all that apply. So when it says select all that apply, we know that it is going to be more than 1. So we can go ahead and work these out real quickly. So let's look at A. So we know, so when you look at A, you have 0.6 times 0.02. When you multiply that out, we know that 2 times 6 is going to be 12. So put that there, or 1 here. 2 times 0 is going to be 0 plus 1 more, and then 2 times 0 is 0. And then we can go ahead and count our zeros here, and it's going to have to be 3 place value. So it is not going to be A. Let's look at B. We know that when you multiply 0.03 times 0.4, that's going to give us 12. And you move the decimal over 2 places, and so we know that B is another one. Let's go ahead and look at C. So C is saying we have 0.12 times 0.1. So it's going down to 12 and a 0. But we have 3 places, so our place is going to be there. So there we go. So we know it is not C. Let's look at D. Okay, so we have 3 times 4 is going to be 12. 3 times 0 is going to be 0 plus the 1 more and the 0. And then we only have a 2 place value, so we know that D is correct. Let's look at E. So E is 0.06 times 0.2. We know that 2 times 6 is going to be 12. 2 times 1 is 2. Well, 2 times 0 is 0. And then we're going to bring our 1 down. And then 2 times 0 is 0. But we're going to have that 0 place value. So it is not E. So let's look at number 13. So it says each lap around Spring Lake Park is 1.85 miles long. How far would someone walk if they complete 3.5 laps? So let's multiply that out. Okay, so we'll go ahead and multiply this out. You see, it doesn't matter how you line it up. We're just going to work it. So 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 8 is 40, plus 2 more is going to give us 42. 5 plus 1 is 5, plus 4 more is going to give us a 9. See, we don't worry about our decimals at this time. So we're going to multiply in the tens place. We're going to put a 0 there in the ones. So we're going to start multiplying. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 1 more is going to give us 25. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 more is going to give us a 5. Just simply add 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 5 plus 9 is 14. It's going to be 6,475 miles, which is D. And we'll work our decimal in is 3 places over, so that should be a decimal. There you go. Alright, so let's go to number 14. Okay, on number 14 it says just to divide. First off, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to move our decimal over. And so we're going to move it over 1 place right here. So the decimal is going to go 1 place right here. And then we'll move it 1 place over here. So our problem is going to look like 47 divided by 319.6. Go ahead and put our point up there. So 47 will divide into 319. It'll go 6 times. 6 times 47 is going to be 282. Let's go ahead and subtract. Let's make the 9 minus 2, it's going to be 7. And then 1 will not subtract from 8. So we'll go ahead and make that 3 and 2 and make this 11. So 11 minus 8 is going to be 3. So we'll go ahead and bring down our 6, and 8 times, whew, it's crazy, 8. 47 is 376. So our problem is going to be 6.8. And we'll just color in our circle there, that, and there. So, and number 15 says, Keith spent $11.04 on pens that cost 69 cents. How many pens did Keith buy? So with even reading this problem, we're going to know that we are going to go ahead and divide. So first off, what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to get the decimals out. So we're going to look here, and so we're going to say, okay, so we're going to move over 2 spaces here and 2 spaces here. So this problem right here should be written out like this. Okay, so this is how our problem is going to look. So it's going to say 69 divided by 110, and so it's going to go 1 time. So we know 1 times 69 is going to give us 69. Go ahead and subtract. We can subtract 0 minus 9, so we're going to borrow from the 1. And so it's going to make this a 10. So we're going to say 10 minus 9 is going to give us 1. And then we're going to borrow from the 1 here. This is going to make us 10. So we know 10 minus 6 is going to give us 4. So we're going to go ahead and bring down the 4 here. And then 69 will divide into that 6 times. And 6 times 69 is going to be 414. So our answer is going to be C, 16. Alright, so let's look at number 16. Speaking of 16. Anna made calls to 25 people yesterday. She was successful in getting 6 of the people to donate money to a charity. Which part of the people that Anna called donated to the charity? Okay, so we know with that being said, we are going to divide. So we're going to say 25 divided by, and we're going to say 6, because we know there's 6 people. So we're going to put a decimal here, and we're going to add, because we know that 25 will not divide into 6, but it will divide into 60, and it will do that 2 times. So we know 2 times 25 is going to be 50. Subtract, and we have 10 left over. We could add another 0 here, and we know that 25 will divide into 100 4 times. So 4 times 25 is 100. So our answer is going to be B, 0.24. Alrighty, if you have any questions or anything, you can always email me, math1gjcc@gmail.com. This document for you to answer will be in the Google Classrooms. Don't forget the Google code is 2MK74E3. Don't forget to, if you have any other questions or anything and you want to see it yourself, you can always go into Tabe Academy and watch the videos that I have assigned for you. Your username is your first name 1, password happy1, or you can always easily go into iexcel.com, look at some of the assignments that I have assigned for you on decimals. Your username is your first name 1 at Job Corps, and then password joyful1. I hope y'all have a great day. Hope to see you soon.